Thank you so much. I'll not forget your name, Monica, because my wife's name is Monica. So, in any case, it's my pleasure to be here today because as president of an organization that's been around 30 years, the Continental Automated Buildings Association, what we try to do is to meet as many people, to share as much information as we can with industry professionals from the entire gamut of intelligent buildings and smart homes. In fact, integrated systems or converging technology in all buildings. And we're governed by, how many people know CABA? Just raise your hand very quickly if you've heard of CABA before. One of the reasons I'm here is because some of you didn't raise your hand, and hopefully by the end of this short presentation, you'll get a sense of what some of the things that CABA undertakes. But we're governed as an international nonprofit organization by a very prestigious board of directors. As you see, I have many bosses. Smart buildings. So intelligent buildings, quite frankly, some of you are involved in a very detailed, very great way with intelligent buildings, but not everybody is aware of what an intelligent or smart building is. So this little definition actually really describes that really any building that has some integrated systems is an intelligent building, because all buildings, or I should say most buildings, even some of the most intelligent buildings like the Edge building in Amsterdam, have some systems that are standalone systems. They do not connect to anything. But increasingly, you will see that, that basically the siloed systems do actually connect, and that's what makes it intelligent. So we do, as an organization, a great deal of research. We gather research, we create some of that research through some very massive reports that I get the pleasure of carrying around at trade shows. But ultimately, we create research for the industry because no one person, no one company can possibly follow what's happening. It's exploding. When you think about 30 years ago, today it's actually exploding. So these companies, of our 350 some members, and we work with over 28,000 industry professionals, actually help fund this research so they can actually get copies. So I'm going to share in a very quick way, and because short time period, some of the highlights of this research to give you a sense of what is happening in the intelligent building sector. Well, quite frankly, it's not unknown to most of us that we moved from really embedded intelligence all the way, remember M2M? That seemed to be but that wasn't sexy enough, so we have to have the Internet of Things and smart systems. Well, two things are happening. The adoption of technology is now moving up that proverbial curve. The cost of technology is being dramatically reduced. Cost of sensors as a great example. And what that has allowed the industry to do is to not only take what was common in terms of IP addressable devices, which we all seem to, we all know of some of that, but I remember Jim Young, a good friend of mine, who went to China and Korea and looked at table light, and it was IP addressable. And this was about 10 years ago, and he said, I can't believe that's where the world is going. That was 10 years ago. Well, now, what we're going to see is, of course, not just the IP addressable, but all electronic devices, and that becomes your Internet of Things. But it's moving beyond that. So all unconnected electronic devices are next on the scale, and just, again, the pyramid. And what we're moving to is basically all unconnected objects. Think about it. Garbage receptacles that will tell whether they're full or they should be emptied. In Yinchuan, China, when I spoke at a Smart Cities event just last September, they actually had that in play in their prototype city. Suitcases, devices. There's some great examples at a trade show how actually people will be connected, and you'll know exactly where they are, and data analytics will be able to tell you exactly where they spent their time. It's kind of scary, actually, isn't it? Big Brother is really going to be with us. So, by and large, what we're going to see is sensors everywhere. So what does this mean to you and your companies? It means there's a huge opportunity. In the past, there have been problems in buildings that we could not solve in a very low-cost way. But if you could solve a problem with your product, with your service, just think of the absolute phenomenal money, how you can monetize what you currently do as a company. And sometimes it's not just with you. So what if you could actually determine by flow of water what is actually taking place? Not now that when the bill for your water, your electricity, because you're losing it and it's being wasted, and then you see the bill a month later and you say, wait a minute, something's wrong here. What if you knew that real time, very quickly? So all of these opportunities exist with, particularly as sensors have come down in pricing. And that's really this is really what's making it all work. We've got sensors and actuators. We've got the connectivity that's now in play at a very low cost or lower cost. And you've got people and processes that are actually starting to understand that I can actually make, if you're selling product or services, we can do that in a way, maybe strategically partnering like AT&T did. So AT&T, just a very quick example, one of our board members, they partnered with a group that in the city where they were the city was trying to get sensors to basically monitor air quality, smog, NOx, basically understand that in all parts of their city. So the sensor company put those sensors up, but they need to transport the data, the information. AT&T says, pick me, because we'll help you. We can do that very cost effectively, but we need some data analytics. Oh, who will do that? IBM will do that. IBM said, we'll do that. So here you've got a partnership, city, sensor company, AT&T, and IBM, real time. Now the city knows exactly what the conditions are. So they can alert their citizens, whether there's smog alerts, people with respiratory illness that might not be warned not to go out in certain parts of the city. So again, just a quick example of how companies can work together, and this is going to be key. Yes, it's always best if you could do it all, but think of strategic alliances. Think of how you can partner with specific companies to solve somebody's problem. That could be a city, a building, a client. So here's a survey. What were the top 4? We put these presentations on our website, so that's why I shut the lights, because it's hard to see the way it was. But basically there's 4. Reducing energy was still number 1 on the hit parade. Improving operational efficiency, number 2. Establishing maintenance, enabling and monitoring maintenance, and improving financial planning. So those were the top 4 of the things that came back in terms of the surveys that were done, both on the quantitative and the qualitative side of this research. So really what you have, and when you think about a building, you have all of these systems. We participated in a study, or in a piece of a rating called BIQ rating system. There's over 300 different systems that could be tied together. So basically, if you look at that and you go from low automation to full concept, and typically most systems and buildings are somewhere in between, but you can then look at all the value options that are available for that building. So developing that roadmap, the strategy for that particular building, for your customer, might differentiate you in an RFP if you're actually trying to gain business. So again, when we looked at the decision maker survey, the 4 top ones were notification of the systems as outside of normal parameters. Wouldn't that be amazing if you could actually tell if your system wasn't functioning properly before it actually broke down? Notification of device on the verge of failure is along the same lines. Monitoring building systems remotely. Again, anywhere in the world, being able to monitor, to be notified when system failure is taking place. What if the power went off and you were in a situation where there was no one there to alert you the power went off? Wouldn't that be nice to know that so the pipes didn't freeze? Or other critical systems would malfunction. And if viewing energy consumption, still very big on the hit parade there. So if you look at trends, and I wish I had time to really go through this in detail, but there are some and this was brought up actually, some speakers downstairs, like the LTE systems, the IP version 6 coming out, advances in processor technologies. But here's, let me go back. Here's the key. This is where we are, 2017, about 20 billion devices connected. Where are we going? Almost, well over 70, 80 billion devices. Billion devices. And by segment, medical, military, industrial, consumer, computers, all these systems. And to the point that it's been said that virtually all things could be connected in some fashion. And we're talking about objects. So if we are here at 2016, 2017, when this research was done, again, we moved from the bare, we connected devices, we now start to collect data. Wouldn't that be the ability to access that data and understand it? Now we're getting into complex analytics. How many here provide analytics for, if you're into, if you're an OEM of hardware, software, analytics? Are you providing it? 1, 2. This is the goal. This is the goal of the future. He or she who understands data, who gathers data, will become rich, because that is the gold. And the more that you manipulate that gold, that's the gold of the value of the future. So why is Google buying Nest? Why? Why are they gathering a lot of data? Because it's a huge value. So again, and the more you can make it unique, very specific. Utilities are sitting on a gold mine, to use that metaphor again, and they're not understanding the value that they could possibly use, although they are hamstrung a bit by their utility commissions. But basically, data. Keep that in mind. Go back. Think of where can you collect data, where can you monetize that data in a way that you may not be currently. So if you look at the building types, and here is commercial, institutional, industrial buildings, and then residential. Again, we cover all segments. But look at where the value proposition is in each of those segments. And at the end of the day, I always say you must keep the user, that end user, who sometimes, as we all know, how many here are facility managers or operators, builders, developers? Anyone? Oh, this room should be full of them. Because quite frankly, they're the group that could truly get the value if they understood. And some of them, like we have on our board of directors, Cadillac Fairview, we work with CBRE, JLL, Brookfield just joined CABA. So Public Works, I mean, there's so many value propositions that some of those builders, developers, and facility managers are truly getting it. But ultimately, we're just scratching the surface. So there's a lot of gold out there. Are you able to go access it? Are you able to take advantage of that? We have so much free research in our public library. We provide research information data. We make that available to as many people as we can. Obviously, if there's members, that helps us stay alive as a nonprofit. But do take advantage of all the free stuff. And again, I only was able to touch on a couple of key points, but hopefully I was able to stimulate your thoughts of where there's opportunities, and then to, and I'll stick around for a little bit, and I'm down in the trade show area to chat with you if you have any specific questions on CABA. So speaking of questions, we've got 1 minute. Oh man, I just made it.
Any questions for the audience?
Again, the presentation will be on our website next week or so. We have lots of other free presentations to see. One of them in Frankfurt and Qatar, if you're here.
The vendor ecosystems are still being established in this segment?
They are, yeah, absolutely. And that's why we had 25 great companies, and of all types, JLL, you know, from the end user trying to figure it out, to the OEMs like to Siemens and Honeywell, all trying to figure it out. Because if they get it right, it's a huge advantage, absolutely huge advantage. And just think of you know, going into whether it's a typical RFP and you're it's a new building, it's a recommissioning opportunity, retrofit, to be able to say, we will do this, and we'll do this, and this, and this. Are our competitors going to do that? If they're not, obviously, they might win that bid. I don't know if we can take more questions.
Well, no, so questions
So
later. You're in a break.
I'll stay,
Well,
we'll chat later.
I have some questions for you too, but we need to move on, unfortunately. This is all.
Yeah, thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you so much.
It's my
That's
pleasure
great.
to be here.